The night Munachi was born, the skies over Umunochi raged with thunder and lightning. The whole surrounding was tense. The whole village was filled with worry and tension. The queen was struggling during childbirth. The king was anxiously waiting, fearing the worst. Nena's pregnancy with Munachi was very tough, with lots of pain, bleeding, and dizziness. From the early stage of her pregnancy, Nena experienced severe complications. She would often complain of excruciating abdominal pain, intermittent bleeding, and bouts of dizziness. Her husband, King Orji, was worried sick, and her doctor, the royal midwife, Naya, was concerned that her pregnancy might not go to full term. Despite the challenges, Nena was determined to carry her baby to term. She followed the advice given by the midwife, taking bed rest and herbs to alleviate her symptoms. King Orji took care of her every need, providing emotional and physical support. As the due date approached, Nena's complication worsened. 3 months went by, and Nena's body was exhausted. She had endured so much, but she refused to give up. Finally, her water broke, and Nena went into labor. While Igwe Orji paced the corridors, his heart pounded with dread. Moments after he heard Munachi's cry, silence fell. The midwife emerged, cradling the tiny princess. "Your daughter, Igwe," she whispered, but her joy was muted by grief. "The queen. She has joined the ancestors." The king's face crumpled. He felt as though he had been hit hard. He stumbled backward and fell onto his throne, his eyes wide with shock. He stared at the midwife, unable to believe what she had just told him. "No," he whispered, his voice shaking with grief. "No, no, no. This cannot be. My queen cannot be gone. She cannot leave me like this," he said, sobbing. Naya stepped forward, her eyes filled with compassion, and gently placed the baby in the king's arm. The king was consumed by grief. He rocked back and forth, his body shaking with sobs as he whispered his queen's name over and over again. His kingsmen and other villagers who had gathered in the throne room looked on in silence, their face sober with respect for the king's grief. The kingdom mourned with their king, and the sound of weeping and wailing filled the streets. The king's heart swelled with emotion as he looked at his daughter, and he felt a surge of love and protectiveness towards her. At that moment, he promised to take care of her and wouldn't let her feel the absence of her mother. He held her close, determined to take care of her and give her the best of life she could possibly get, even without her mother's love. Igwe Orji had no son to succeed him, only a daughter, Munachi, fondly called Muna. Whispers swelled like harmattan dust around this palace. It was tradition for sons to succeed their fathers, to carry the lineage and defend the kingdom. Without a male heir, many whispered that the royal bloodline was destined to fade. Despite the rumors and ridicule of how the king was cursed without a son, Igwe Orji adored his daughter fiercely, raising her with all the love and strength he could muster. As Muna grew, the kingdom's whisper turned into open derision. "The king is strong," they said behind his back, "but his line is weak. A daughter cannot handle the staff of kingship. Umunochi is doomed." Muna grew up without the gentle touch of a mother, but her father's love and support shaped her into a bold and fearless spirit. While the people snubbed the king, questioning his legacy, Igwe Orji saw greatness in his daughter. He decided to prepare her for a world that might never fully accept her. Igwe Orji trained Muna in the art of swordsmanship and leadership. While other girls in the kingdom were weaving baskets and learning to cook, Muna was wielding blades and mastering the war cries. By the time she was of age, she was as strong as the kingdom's mightiest warriors and as clever as the most seasoned strategist. Yet the whispers never ceased. "Who will protect us when King Oji is gone?" they muttered. "A woman cannot lead us to war." The king's men held a meeting with the king, who was sitting on his throne and listening to the king's men. Igwe, one of the king's men, stood up and began, "We gather today to discuss the future of our kingdom. Our king, though wise and just, has no son to succeed him. His daughter, though loved and kind, is only a woman." The room erupted into a chorus of nods and murmur of agreement by other kingsmen. "According to our tradition," he continued, "a woman cannot rule our kingdom. It is a law that has been passed down from generations. If we allow a woman to take the throne, it will bring chaos and instability to our kingdom." Another kingsman added, "Not only that, my king, but it will also bring shame and ridicule upon our kingdom. The other kingdom will see us as weak and foolish for allowing a woman to rule." As the debates continued, the king listened silently. His face was expressionless. "We will not stand idly by while you threaten the very fabric of our throne. If you do not produce a male heir, we will be forced to take action. We will dethrone you and install a new ruler, one who will uphold the traditions of our land." The room fell silent. The king looked at them calmly, and in a gentle voice he said, "I am not afraid of losing my throne," he responded. "I love my daughter dearly," he continued, "and I will do everything in my power to protect her. I am sure she will make a better ruler than any man, and I will not stand in her way." The king's men looked at each other, their faces filled with a mixture of doubt and uncertainty. Muna didn't let the criticism discourage her. Instead, it made her even more determined to prove to everyone that she was capable of being a good ruler. She worked harder than ever, training from dawn till dusk, until her hands were sore and her muscles ached. Her father's lesson became her foundation, but it was her own fierce determination that truly made her stand out. One evening, Umunochi's peace was disrupted. Messengers from the neighboring kingdom of Umueke brought disturbing news. Their ruler, Eze Obiora, had declared a war on Umunochi. Claiming its land, he mocked Umunochi's king, saying a kingdom without a son to lead its army is no kingdom at all. The declaration of war caused fear in Umunochi. Eze Obiora was known for his ruthless cruelty. He had a large number of fierce army. The royal council were worried. Igwe Orji advisors doubted they could win against Umueke's strong army. Igwe Orji, now an old man with grey hair, was no longer strong enough to lead the army. Without a young prince to take his place, it seemed like Umunochi was destined to fall. When all seemed lost, Muna stepped forward. With determination, she volunteered to represent her father. "Father," her voice was firm, "let me lead the warriors of Umunochi." She spoke with so much confidence. "Father, you taught me to fight, to lead, and to never back down. Let me honor what you have given me. I will not let Umunochi fall while I can still raise a sword," she added. The hall fell silent. The council erupted in protest. "This is no place for a woman," one elder growled. "War is for men. Do you wish to doom us all with your pride?" Igwe Orji stood, his hands raised to silence them. He looked at Muna with both pride and fear. Igwe Orji's heart gripped with fear. He had already lost his queen. The thought of losing Muna was unbearable. "No, Muna," he said. "I cannot send you to war. You are all I have left." But Muna knelt before her father, holding his hand. "Father, you taught me to be brave. You raised me to protect this kingdom. Let me honor you and our people. If we cower now, they will take everything away from us." After a long deliberation, Igwe Orji finally agreed with great pain. He placed his royal sword in Muna's hand and blessed her, though his heart was heavy with worry. "If you must go," he said, "do not go as my daughter, but as the protector of Umunochi." The army of Umunochi set out at dawn, led by Muna, dressed in armor forged by the kingdom's finest blacksmith. Gleamed under the rising sun, she rode a powerful black horse, and behind her, soldiers carried flags, honoring their ancestors. They marched with determination, ready for battle. Muna stood at the front of the battlefield and addressed her troops. "They think us weak because I am a woman," she said loudly. "They think we will falter because they outnumber us. But we are not weak. We are not afraid. Today, we will fight not just for our land, but for our honor, our families, and our future. We are Umunochi, and we will not back down." The battle was brutal. Muna fought at the forefront, her sword flashing quickly and striking with precision. She fought with skill and instinct, inspiring her warriors to fight harder. They drew strength from her courage and fought with renewed energy. Muna showed incredible bravery. She fought fiercely, using her sword to break through the enemy. Her leadership helped turn the battle around, and despite being outnumbered, Muna's army defeated the strongest army of Umweke. The battle raged for hours. By nightfall, the army of Umweke was broken. Eze Obiora himself fled to the battlefield, his forces scattered like leaves in the wind, their pride shattered. Muna turned to Umunochi's victory. When Muna returned to Umunochi, she was welcomed with jubilation. The people who once doubted her now sang her praises. Igwe Orji, his face streaked with tears of pride, embraced her tightly. "You have done what I never could," he said. "You have silenced the voices of doubt, not with words, but with courage." Overwhelmed with pride, Muna would not only be honored as a hero, but would also ascend the throne as the first queen of Umunochi. Muna was crowned the first queen of Umunochi in a big ceremony, all because of the bravery and strength she possessed. Under her leadership, the kingdom prospered and her name became famous. She became a legendary hero, remembered forever as the first queen of Umunochi. The story of Queen Muna spread far and wide, inspiring generations to come.